Okay, I think we are underway for the start of this race. It is 3, 4, 5 red lights in Austria. And it's go here in Austria. We have got Robastian with a good start there, but Andy Andre, of course, your current World Championship leader. Hello? Can you hear me? It's 3 wide with SSRL Quincy going into turn number 3 there. A bit of contact in the background there. Lots of places being exchanged here. I cannot actually see the stream anywhere. So Quincy there just going and drifting through turn number 4 as he goes side by side with Robastian for the lead of the race here. And at the moment, it is Stage David now trying to catch up to all of this in the Racing Bulls car as well. So the sister team here to the Red Bull has Herbert the German making his way up to 12 in the background. But the top 3 getting through this wet weather are A-OK. And as of right now, we approach the end of lap 1. We still do not have any sort of news on the stream. If you can, anyone can let me know. In fact, there we go. It's just come back to me now. So yes, I can be reassured that we do have a stream in ultra wide definition. I do apologize there, as Robastian says the fastest lap, being first across the line as Flip Ramsdam pits in from about P14 there. And it is all the way down to 18th for now. It's going fresh into, so probably was on those full wets as Race Chase has left the session due to a disconnect, so I won't worry too much about that. He'll be back with us soon, but will lose positions in that meantime. In fact, Race Chase is down in 19th, so he's just going to lose time to the field. We could be seeing them being lapped, but here we go. Andrew and Energetic going side by side down in turn 4. Contact between the two. Carbon fiber going flying. And in fact, in the background as well, we have Herman the German catching up to all this. He's in the middle of this pack. And now down the inside goes Andrew there, trying to cut back. And now, as Energetic has said, I'm not giving this up just yet. I'm going to keep attacking, but through the midfield section, unfortunately, you don't get much of a choice there. As Rush the Siri in the background having a little bit of a moment here. Let's see who's lost and what out in this early stage of the Grand Prix. So Race Chase down 9 positions due to an early pit stop. And Mr. Walter outside the top 10 for being inside the top 10. Red Dog down 3 positions. And Bavish setting the fastest lap here in the wets, currently in 4th position as Race Chase has joined back with us. And another pit stop. Race Chase down a lap already. This is some rotten luck for the American driver as now Bavish is catching up to SSRL Quincy. Now Bavish, we've hyped up on pace quite a bit throughout the last season, but could never quite get a result there. As just, well, we'll just come back to that in a second, because Andrew and Energetic went back to battle, but unfortunately for Energetic it went rather badly, as it did for Andrew. And now Kashka is in the Haas, has made his way through as well. What happened here? I wonder if there was contact between the two between the Racing Bulls and the Williams here. So it's looking like it's all sorting itself out, as now Herman is under pressure from fellow sub behind. Of course, he was the main championship contender from last season, but couldn't quite keep with Andy Andre's pace. Andy Andre down to 5th as of right now. Now, you may just want to consider that in seasons 4 and... No, was it 3 and 4? Yeah, seasons 3 and 4. As now we're seeing 3 wide through the final turn. Herman down the inside there. Goes wide. Robastian with the fastest lap of the race. But that was Herman the German sticking to the inside of a 3 wide situation, going into the double left-handers. And Herman the German making that stick with some rather pro moves there. But now, oh, there's contact. Oh, and Herman has ridden the curb. Herman forced onto 2 wheels through the exit of turn 1. Don't think that's what fellow son would have wanted. He has backed off a little bit and allowed a few cars through. So I don't think... Well, he could also be struggling from momentum. And at the moment now, he's currently down to 13th. But Herman's race ruined and down in 16th. And of course, Herman's season not off to the best of starts there. He would have wanted something a little more a little more respectable, but at the moment has to wait for a safety car. Now, of course, just to let you know, because if you ask this, you make Quincy rather annoyed. No, there is no more two-stop mandatory. There's no longer a two-stop mandatory rule. You still get fastest lap for, you still get a point for fastest lap even, beg your pardon. And as of right now, that's kind of really about it in terms of the rules, as well as now Robastian having a mistake there through the final couple of corners, and now Bavish has set the fastest lap of the race down the inside of Quincy into turn 1. Surely not. Somehow they make it stick, and for now it's Bavish up into second place there, but Danger David through to the lead of the race. Of course, managed to finish on the podium in the preseason races. I think it was either third for round 2, and then for the final preseason race he actually took that one outright. So Danger David leading the way and looking to bring the challenge to Andy this season, but of course there is a long way to go before we can consider the championship picture as of right now. But early signs show that Quincy is up there with pace. This new handling model for the game, of course, reverting back to a more stable and consistent handling model, seems to be working in great favor for the league admin. Currently running in third, but that's where he qualified, remember, and is now under serious pressure from Robastian, who of course had a mistake earlier last lap. Of course, 36 laps here. Usually it is a full 71 lap race, but of course because we are running a half distance, we reduce it down to the to 50%, so that works out at about 36% if you round up, because 71 doesn't quite go into 36, not evenly anyway. Quincy now under pressure, under more pressure from Robastian now, and I think Robastian's being forced onto the grass nearly. Quincy squeezed him as hard as he could, but Robastian resisted the pressure and is now up into third place, and that will not make Quincy very happy. Now down a position on his start. Things starting to settle down a little bit as now we're getting further into the Grand Prix. Andrew here now starting to reignite his battle with Energetic, but Cash also Rush the Series has really gotten away and is starting to catch up to the pack up in front. And at the moment, these three very much nip and tuck, and Quincy up battling with third there. As it looks like the Racing Bulls just had a moment there. Energetic, all of a sudden under pressure from the Williams of Andrew. And here we go, there we go. Andrew is down the inside through the double left-handers there, and he's through there. So he's got that done quite nicely through turn 5, making that hold through turn 6. As Danger David takes the fastest lap of 1:15.259. Of course, the previous fastest lap was Bavish there with a 1:16.2. So the pace starting to improve here, and the track potentially drying up. Let's just have a quick look. Looks like there's still spits of rain in and around Austria here. So, there you go, taking that turn 1 quite nicely is Energetic, trying to get back with this battle in front. Herman, of course, back in the division. It has unfortunately fallen early to contact. That was with Fellow Sun there, of course. Fellow Sun, silly season, chasing. Oh god, I'm not going to try and say that. SSSSS, according to Aaron Cass here. But at the moment, of course, Herman the German under pressure, maybe? No, he's not under pressure. He's being lapped by, I think it's that the McLaren of Bavish. It is not. So that would be... Actually, that's the McLaren of Race Chase, who's been lapped by the entire field there. Race Chase not having a good start to his Season 6 adventures. And now we have Andy Andre, 4-time champion. We have Rush the Series, who could have been a potential contender in Season 4, but sadly Season 3, but sadly just couldn't make it stick. Had to give up the ghost in Monaco, and then it was left up to Herman and Andy, who, of course, Rush the Series, then played a part in that fateful last lap. Binging with Bavish. I don't quite know where you get these things from, but anyway, as of right now, we are seeing Quincy lead a 3-way battle for 4th place. He has dropped off completely from the top 3, and now Robastian is even caught up to that as well. So a lot of battles starting to form up, and Bavish is even catching Danger David, so David not really safe here. The Scotsman starting to feel a bit of pressure, and Andy is right on the back of the Red Bull of Quincy. Of course, Quincy is announced to be in the McLaren, but I think filling a seat while Race Chase... I thought Race Chase was... Yeah, I think Bavish in as a reserve, so Quincy fills in for somebody else. But if I've got that wrong, I will correct myself towards the end of the broadcast. We're actually having a bit of a fight here. Veriduco and Flip going through turn number 2 there, or turn number 3, depending on who you are. They've just swapped for 17th and 18th. Flip now is going to try and catch up to the pack in front. Andy still behind. Of course, we don't have any DRS in these conditions as it's not safe. 3-second penalty. The first one of SSRL Season 6 goes to Red Dog. And, of course, Herman actually catching the Alpine at a rate of knots. But here we go. Surely Andy close enough to have a go here. Going to the inside as Fellowson is the next to get a 3-second penalty. Quincy having to hold off, squeezes Andy as hard as he dares. Of course, he's got to remember he's dealing with a 4-time champion and the current Drivers' Champion. And Quincy does a beautiful job of holding him off here. And now, down the straight, separating turn 3 from turn 4. Andy making no sort of inroads there. Now the gap to the top 3 is 6.3 seconds. This will be frustrating Andy probably just a little bit. And, of course, we'll want to make his way through as soon as possible at the line. It will be 17 laps to go. Quincy very wide there through turn number 5. And at the moment, we'll see how this holds out for the Red Bull driver. Surely it's only a matter of time before he has to relinquish the position to the Kick Sauber behind. Both Kick Saubers doing okay here. 5th and 11th. Andy's new teammate Verstappen here as all Quincy wide there. And look at that. The Mercedes of Rushdasiri into the pit lane. Let's see what tyres he goes out onto because the track looks to be drying up, but DRS hasn't been activated by race control. And I just wonder, are we going to have a situation where I know that this is a constant with the game as there we go, Rushdasiri on hard tyres. He thinks the track is bone dry, but of course, we haven't seen DRS be activated by race control. Of course, a reminder to you. Reminds you, once we know the track is dry, that's when race control activates DRS, but that hasn't happened, and I wonder if we're going to see that glitch where it's better to stick on the intermediates and then go to the race on the end, because I was in commentating another league at this very track on a round 1, as now we see side-by-side action for 6th and 7th, Kashka and Andrew going side by side with one another, but no success for Kashka there. But we'll probably have another go, maybe through turn 5, maybe through turn 6. No, not close enough to do so. Has to slot behind for now as Robastian has disconnected. Oh no, Robastian with some rotten luck. He disconnects as Danger David responds with a 1:13.7, and now some drivers making their way into the pit lane. Quincy is in the pit lane. Who else is next? It's Kashka next into the pit lane. And are they going for dries here? Let's have a quick look at the tyre delta as Fellowson gets a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. And look who's... But we'll come back to that in just a second. But look who's caught up to the leader as Race Chase setting the fastest lap there. 1:13.6 on intermediates for the McLaren driver. Of course, all the way down in 19th will be relishing this opportunity to maybe get himself unlapped a little bit, maybe. We'll see. You hate to see the disconnections. We certainly do. Robastian losing time to the top 2 now, and that's surely him out of winning contention today, unless if we see a safety car. Of course, not unlikely considering the narrow nature of the circuit. But of course, one with lots of straights and DRS zones, so plenty of overtaking opportunities to be had if we were in the drive, but of course we are not. Now Danger David making his way into the pit lane. I wonder if we will now start seeing dry tyres for our drivers. Let's see how many. Well, everybody outside the top 8 has made their stop. Flip with 2 as Robastian has joined back in. And in actual fact, with good timing as well. He's just into the pit lane now, so could be on course to recover some of that time lost while he was trying to get reconnected to the session. It is hard tyres for Danger David to go to the end, and medium tyres as well for Bavish, but those won't go to the end. I think he will have to make another stop, and in fact, it won't be the same for everybody. Might be making another stop. Remember, in Monza, we commentated on a few weeks ago, everybody thought they were safe till the end, but everyone needed to come in for a second set or else they risk getting a punch. And here we go. Quincy catching up to the back of this on the undercut, and Fellowson has retired in the pit lane, so he will go no further in this race. No safety car intervention required, but we are now, I think, under dry conditions, although I haven't seen anything from race control to suggest DRS has been reactivated. But there we go. DRS has been activated. Robastian has opened up that rear wing, and Quincy has been able to undercut him only because of the Williams disconnecting from the session, remember. So now we do have a dry race, indeed. So we missed like, oh, Robastian squeezed rather aggressively by SSRL Quincy. And all of a sudden now, Robastian will have to remember that. As when he tries to overtake again down the start-finish straight, you would feel. But this might bring Rush the Siri into the equation. It does. Look at this. It is through a pack of 3 going in to the final couple of corners here. And now, down the start-finish straight we go. Robastian surely going to get this move done sooner rather than later. Rush the Siri in the back of this battle with the fastest lap of 108.470. Look at the instability of the rear end here. But now, surely, Robastian has third place. He gets it done. Quincy's going to try and fight back on this through turn 3. He will have another shot of DRS again. Let's go aboard with the Red Bull. Here we go. Good traction out the exit, but Robastian was better. And that's now half a second to the Williams. So Quincy there left in the dust. We'll catch up very briefly, but I imagine Robastian will now leave him behind. But look at this. We also have a lead battle on as well. We are approaching, well, we're 5 laps away from the halfway point. Remember, it's Danger David on hards and Bavish on medium, so Bavish will have the initial advantage in this stage of the race. And we'll see what he can do with it. It is approaching the start-finish line now. Just to inform you of a swap outside the top 10. Herman has overtaken Tarcangino for 14th place and is now not too far away from Red Dog, who, by the way, has another track limits penalty. So his penalty window at the end of the race is up to 6 seconds. And now Bavish with DRS here down the straight, which separates turn 2 from turn 3. Lots of fast laps coming in as then Kovachka interrupts all of that with a 3-second penalty for track limit violation. So that means we have 4 drivers on 3 seconds and 1 driver on 6 seconds. Bavish still putting pressure on David, but David not buckling so far, and he keeps that Racing Bulls car ahead of the McLaren. Quincy has not let Robastian go for third, but Robastian is also starting to close that gap down. It was at 8 seconds a couple of laps ago. It's now down to 7.6, as now we see a swap for position here, and this is for 12. Oh my goodness me, a lot of squeezing. That was an Alpine on Mercedes situation there. That nearly forced Herman onto the grass, but no such. Look, oh, the Alpines make contact! Oh, that is the last thing you want to see happen. And unfortunately, Kovachka is forced round. Rule 1 of motorsport: don't hit your teammate. And that is what the Alpines do on round 1, as Mr. Router with a 3-second penalty for track limit violations. And well, to bring things back up to speed, Kovachka down to 15th place after contact with his own teammate. Bavish still with DRS and trying to fight his way past Danger David, but no such luck here, as now it looks like Quincy is trying to follow, as we have a battle for 9th place here between Mr. Wouter, who just got a 3-second penalty, and Andrew. Looks like Andrew's starting to lose some advantage on the dry tyres that he initially had. Of course, qualified 7th, down 3 positions, and is at the moment trying to just keep some sort of points. Now, of course, there has been a bit of a points change here. Some things have been increased by a point, and we'll go through those at a later stage of the Grand Prix. But we've got a lot of action to be looking at now, as Bavish will be about to get DRS. Danger David swerves all the way to the right-hand side there. Look at that. Bavish with a personal best, a 107.334 there. 2 tenths faster than his personal best, but it doesn't look like it's enough to catch up to the back of the Racing Bulls here. And I think we are approaching lap traffic, and that's Flip there in front of both of them. Danger David to the inside, but making sure he can still take a good line, but he locked both the fronts there, so it left him a bit unstable. And now, on the exit of the corner, who has the advantage? Well, that is David with the DRS, but he's had to go and avoid the Ferrari, and now the McLaren down the inside of the Racing Bulls. The Racing Bulls still there around the outside for the lead of the race, and it's Danger David that holds out for now. What a bit of racing from these two, and surely we'll see that again, as now we're going to look elsewhere. And Kashka and Energetic are going side by side, but it's side by side here in the midfield. Mr. Hunter and Andrew going to battle again. Kashka and Energetic even, going side by side. It looks like Energetic has got that move done, but it's round the outside. But Kashka with the inside line, able to fight back. What action here in round one. Austria providing excellent racing for us here today, and now we can look at this lead battle once again. Danger David with no DRS. How is he going to play this time around? Because he will not have lap traffic to help, and Bavish sits behind the Racing Bulls for now, but no, he tries to look down the inside there, but no dice for him. Oh, bit of a mistake as Quincy gets up into third place, but now Bavish, can he fight back with more for the second helping of DRS? Not close enough. I think he is saving some battery to have another go. But there's more battles happening up and down the field. It has been an excellent start to an excellent, what should be an excellent Season 6. As Andrew gets past Kashka, starting to make up the positions he lost earlier in the race. We'll stick with the nose cam as we see Andrew get down the inside of the Racing Bulls of Energetic. Bit of a lock-up from the Williams, but gets the move done. Can he now start catching Rush Nasiri, who has a 3-second penalty post-race? Of course, if you do cut the track and get a 3-second penalty, you have to serve that on you, well, at the end of the race. And now here we go. Oh my word, Bavish with a brave move through turn one. That was always going to be optimistic in my opinion. And he goes wide of turn one. I don't quite know what he was doing there, so he's going to have to wait and catch up again. But look at this as well. We are seeing Andy Andre get past Robastian as well. And he's now right on the back of Energetic, but Robastian fighting back through this next DRS zone. Who's going to have the advantage? Is there going to be contact? There you're dealing with the world champion as of right now, the championship holder. They both have DRS down this next straight. Robastian has a penalty to boot as well, remember. So Robastian still fighting like he has no penalty, and it's on the back of Quincy as of right now. But now there's also more battling here in this midfield. Herman with a 3-second penalty for track limit violations. Oh, there's a front wing end plate going missing for Energetic 6 there, as his front left end plate goes to the wind, and now it is anybody's to auction off of eBay. And so now Racing Bulls will have to come in for another pit stop. We have a caution in Sector 2. And Russia Siri gets another 3-second penalty. I think that is for the Racing Bulls of Energetic. It certainly is. He will be losing downforce, so I wonder if he's just made a couple of mistakes there and has just not been able to stick with it. But here we go again as Andy and Robastian swap positions for 4th place. Let's have a look at the lead battle. DRS will open up down this straight, which separates turn 3 from turn 4. No action there as of right now. Danger David doing enough to keep the McLaren of Bavish behind, but also you may have to remember Bavish might be saving up some battery to have a go later on, and potentially tyre saving as well. Remember, he's on those medium tyres, so they will fade away quicker than the hards that David has put on. We usually see some action in the midfield, but very much settled down for the time being. So we're going to look and see if we have any action through here. We do not as of right now. Robastian there just kind of holding station for the time being, as is Andy Andre, but we might see something through turn 1 from those maybe. I don't think they're close enough, but Andy would be the one to make a move. Of course, Quincy with no DRS as of right now is flipped. Now gets a 3-second penalty. A lot of drivers now starting to come in with some 3-second penalties. Let's have a look at that delta just so you can see what's going on. Several drivers on 6 and 3-second penalties. It's hard to look at them all as Andy round the outside of Quincy. Didn't need the corner, gets that done, but we'll have to remember now we'll get a second helping of DRS. Quincy will, that is, bit squiggly on the exit there of turn 3. Can he get close enough to have to go down into turn 4? He cannot, so he'll slot it behind, but Andy with a massive lock up there, but Quincy going very wide there, having a bit of a snap through the corner. And, well, won't be able to stick with Andy Andre. And maybe Andy Andre can be the one that gets away. What would it mean with a world champion picking up from where he left off? But, of course, you've got to remember, Danger David was also a contender back in Season 4. And, of course, we had that exciting finish where it was a 3-way battle for the Drivers' Championship. And Danger David, sadly, just couldn't quite bring the heat there and had to retire due to major damage with the car. But now he's starting to make amends. It's taken him a season just to kind of get back, but now he's under pressure from Bavish, who's really setting things alight and is now through to the lead of the race. But David will have that second helping of DRS, so surely he'll stick with it. The Scotsman trying to overtake Bavish. Here we go, down into turn 4. He finds a bit of room down the inside. Bavish gives him the room as well. He's going to squeeze him on the outside here through the exit of the corner. And now through turn 5, they will both go flat through here. Danger David cuts the McLaren off and he retains the lead of the race. What excellent racing these guys are bringing. Boy, I have missed them. And also in the midfield, it looked like it's Andrew squeezing off Mr. Wouter through turn 4. Andrew playing fair and playing aggressive, but it's all working out for the Williams so far. There's also more battles going on. Verstappen has just been overtaken by Tarkin Gino, and Verstappen has also got issues from another car, I think. Oh, that's just race chase. Still being lapped by the field, it would seem, as Robastian now in for a second pit stop on those mediums. Not too surprised to see that. That might be, it might be that we do have, while there's no mandatory second two-stop rule anymore from last season, we might still see, due to the tyre wear, a two-stopper anyway. But it is not mandated by the rules. It is mandated by tyre wear. And that looked like Bavish was having a bit of a moment on the exit of turn 3 there. But it's got that back up together, and I just wonder if he's now starting to struggle with the tyre fall-off. Danger David has been really in control as Robastian had a disconnect. Currently, where has he gone? He's down in 9th place as of right now, so has really fallen off because he's actually just coming for a pit stop. That's why. So please don't take my word on that too brightly, as now Bavish is now going to start performing the undercut to try and get the lead of this race and take it away on strategy. But of course, I think Danger David will be privy to what Bavish is doing now. Can Bavish find a new set of tyres? What is he going to go on to? It is a fresh set of hards. So if Danger David wants to stay, in fact, Danger David will be perfect to go onto the mediums at the end of this lap and cover off the stop of Bavish. But of course, is Bavish going to have traffic on the exit? Let's see. Bavish down to 8th as of right now. Has avoided the undercut from Robastian, but yeah, no, that's mostly clear traffic for Bavish. Nobody in his vicinity, and that lap car is ghosted. So no harm, no foul there. Caution in sector 2, very briefly. Nobody's slowing down, so it must have been a brief mistake through the corner. I think that is from either the Racing Bulls of Energetic or the Alpine of Kvachka there. Of course, remember, the Alpine's having a torrid time of it. Of course, both of those making contact on earlier on in the race, and those that forced Kvachka into a spin and Red Dog to lose a lot of time to the pack. And now, well, he's 7.4 seconds off of Verstappen, and it's not really been a race to remember. But now here we go, Energetic and Kvachka about to swap positions. Energetic with 3 seconds more of post-race penalties thanks to track limit violations, but these two are going to go side by side like they are on the same footing here, and they could be if one of them makes a mistake, and that Racing Bull's losing out on straight line speed here as he goes into turn 4. Didn't get the position from that. I'm quite surprised there. So a bit of straight line issues maybe for the Racing Bull's driver. Or some more battles going. Of course, battling continue up and down the field here. This is for 5th place. Rush the Series has rather left this behind. Andrew now 4.3 seconds away from the Mercedes in front. But of course, with Rush the Series 6 seconds, he's in that window. So if everybody just drives sensibly and drives and just kind of keeps up with everybody, well, they could benefit from positions thanks to penalties post-race. That is, of course, something the drivers will need to consider. Of course, that means you've got to keep it between the white lines as well. So it doesn't really... it gives you a little bit of an out, but it rewards for consistency. And Bavish there with a 3-second penalty for track limit violations. Was fighting with David earlier on before his pit stop, but now has rather ruined his chances at a win opening in Season 6. And in actual fact, I thought he was fighting with the Haas there, but of course, pit stops are now beginning to occur. Kashka there, only one in that pack, making the stop that they need to. He will rejoin the track on a... Is it a fresh set of mediums? It certainly is. That will go to the end for sure. And I wonder now, Danger David still hasn't made a stop and is still increasing the gap to Andy behind there. We're Andy still under pressure here from Quincy, who's having a very good race as of right now. And of course, Andy has a penalty to boot. And if Quincy gives it between the white lines, that's second place. Maybe a championship charge here, as somebody has made a mistake in the background. It is Energetic here on the exit of turn number 7, has unfortunately got a bit too fast, too furious, and has found himself pointing the wrong way and is now underway in 15th, now 9.7 seconds behind the cars he was battling. Probably about to be lapped by this pack as well, because Bavish has done well to catch up here, but has had to battle his way through the pack, which will lose him time to, of course, the leader. And, of course, with that 3-second penalty, unfortunately, that puts him in a real disadvantage as we are now approaching the final stages of this Grand Prix with 11 laps to go as of right now. And now we are going to see Bavish surely make a move on the Williams of Andrew, and easy as you like under DRS. And, of course, there is another car in front of him. That is the Mercedes of Rush the Series. And yes, Bavish will get that second helping of DRS. Very conveniently placed Mercedes there for the McLaren. DRS opening, and he's going to get that move done. That is going to be rather easy from the McLaren's point of view, as though Andrew had to sit there and watch. He wasn't close enough to take advantage of Rush the Series being constricted there, as there's been another error. Is it still... It's still Energetic there in the Racing Bulls, and now he's been lapped. And now Danger David is pitting. Oh, sorry about that. Wrong button. Yeah, Danger David pitting in. Now, it is important that he is ahead of Bavish, but I don't think there's enough. I think David is going to find himself behind the McLaren. He's on fresh set of mediums, so he'll have 10 laps on these. But yes, Bavish, I think, is going to overtake David, and he has. Bavish overtakes David for the lead of the race. And now, well, David has all the work to do on track. He's got... Oh, he could have had Andrew there in front of him, but luckily that doesn't happen. But Andrew will have DRS. Will he fight the Racing Bulls hard, or will he? No, he's not in that race. As there we go, there's David's teammate. Energetic will be thinking, hey, oh, it's Energetic there in a spin, and causing a yellow flag through Sector 2, so no overtaking possible for the Williams of Andrew behind. But he will have DRS at the very least. And yeah, no, he continues on. David now needing to stay within a 3-second window to win the race. And does he play this safe or get it done on track? If I was David, I would honestly just keep within the 3 seconds. Play it safe, keep it between the white lines. And then you're good-un. You're a good-un. You have the win. And it was rather easy because we still are waiting for Andy and Quincy, as Quincy, right on command, comes into the pits, and he could be on for a win if he hurries up. Maybe he's going to go onto the softs. Let's keep an eye on the Red Bull here. Medium tyres for the Red Bull of Quincy. No, I think he should come out just in front as Energetic again with another error at the same place. So I wonder if he's dealing with damage at the moment. We'll soon find out, of course. Well, I'm sure he'll tell somebody in the Discord. But anyway, Quincy now out ahead of the House of Kashka, and has now got, in reality, 6.3 seconds to catch up to the guys in front. Of course, both of them with 3-second penalties. So Mr. Wouter and Robastian with a bit of work to do. Robastian already made his second stop, so Quincy will have to get a hurry up as Rush the Series with another 3-second penalty. That brings his total and the second driver to go up to 9 seconds. Red Dog was the first to do that, as he's currently battling with Kashka as well. So this will help Quincy at least get away and try and catch up to the pack in front. Andrew and Robastian go side by side with one another. Robastian allowed through in all reality. Andrew not putting up too much of a fight to his teammate, as Danger David takes the fastest up there, a 106.599 there. Of course, just to remember, just to help you jog your memory, fastest lap points are still awarded in this league, despite the real life rules abstaining away from that, but they haven't really. But SSRL have said, I don't really want to follow real life, and we'll stick to our own set of rules. So you know what? Respect to them. It certainly gives us a bit of a talking point. Danger David now has caught all the way up to Bavish, so surely a change of position is imminent as they go through turn number 4, approach turn number 5 through here, and then it's 6 and 7. And Danger, yeah, it looks like David's only a matter of moments away from making the move. I think Danger David has played the strategy to an absolute beauty. It's not a mandatory 2-stop rule, just so everybody knows, but it looks like the tyre wear dictates that you must have a 2-stop rule, and now, well, a 2-stop strategy at the very least, even on 50% distance. And now look at this, David with DRS open. It is surely only a matter of time, and maybe down after this corner. Here we go, and now he opens the DRS. As you can see there, the battery is on, and now he's going to catch up to the back of Bavish, and he takes the lead of the race on paper. Well, team of the race with Andy Andre not stopping, and only 1.5 seconds to the car behind. Does Bavish fight this back, though? That will be interesting to see. I believe he is doing so, but he's not close enough to have a go, so he's going to just let David be for the time being. And now David within the DRS zone of Andy. And Andy, of course, opting, I think he's not stopped. Yes, he's the only driver, and he's going to try and go to the ends on these hards. That is going to be really, really tricky for Andy to do. But also, we have a battle stirring up as all the Aston Martin losing the rear end out of turn number 3. And that allows Verstappen back through for 10th place. And also with Verstappen being behind at the DRS detection zone, that allowed him to have DRS after he'd overtaken. So a double whammy here for Gino. He has to now find a way through yet again, but I bet you those tyres are a bit done for, as Andy now losing the lead of the race, as Danger David now will begin to run away from these two, you would imagine. So it's Bavish and Andy in a straight fight, but Bavish has much fresher tyres. 11 laps are old for, well, 11 laps younger for Bavish, but a bit of contact between the world champion and, of course, one of the drivers that has found pace this season. Andy still has DRS, but can he hold Bavish off? These two are in a genuine fight. They both have 3 seconds, and they go side by side through turn 4. Bavish gets the move done, and Andy's older tyres just cannot hold on to that second place. And now he has to be careful as an Alpine has spun on the start for this straight. It's Red Dog. He gets back underway. That allowed Herman the German through. And now, Red Dog down to 13th, Herman up to 12th. Herman with a bit of a sedated return. Of course, he was world champion in Season 1, like we said already, as now Quincy making moves up the field there with, well, it'll be 4 laps to go at the line. Of course, it's 5 laps as of right now, unless if the lap delta is following the leader. Let's just have a look. Yeah, so no, it is 5 laps to go at the line for Quincy. And we'll see how that goes. At the moment, 1.1 seconds behind Andrew. He's actually caught up. Has he caught up to Robashian? Does Robashian have 3? No, 3 seconds. So he's got up to the back of Andrew. Best he can hope for is, at the moment, 5th place, and would need to get a hurry up on if he's to do that. Tarkangina with a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane here. So there's only 2 drivers that have got that. That's Tarkangina, who we've just witnessed, and Vero Ducco, teammate to Quincy this round. For this round, Andrew there with a massive lockup, so that might give Quincy the window he requires, as now Herman takes away 11th from Gino. Has Herman made a second stop? Yes, he's currently gone 15 laps on his medium tyres. And Quincy now still trying to find a way past Andrew. Of course, these two haven't got a single penalty all race, so they are fighting for genuine position, as now Quincy gets a good run out of turn number 8 there through turns 9 and 10. Gets the position, but does Andrew have a way to fight back? Let's have a look. He's on hard tyres there. Oh, 15 laps old. Well, no, 20 laps old, so 15 laps in difference there. And that is the easiest move Quincy will ever have to do all race there. That was really nothing special to it. And in actual fact, he's already got and broken the DRS, as he has such better cornering grip than the Williams behind him. And then if we're anything, yeah, he's got and broken that DRS window. And now we're going to see side-by-side action for 8th place. Kashka and Rush Nasiri heading into turn number 3. And honestly, Rush Nasiri with 6 seconds more in penalties than Kashka. So it should be Kashka's position really to lose. If he can just keep within 6 seconds with 4 laps to go, that should be easy enough for the Haas driver there. Doesn't really need to fight with the Mercedes either. Tarcangino and Herman going side by side with one another through into turn 3. They both go. Tarcangino getting 11th place here. Unfortunately for Herman, just not been the best of returns for him, but I'm sure he will find pace throughout the season, but may not be a championship contender going forward from this moment. So maybe just have to, Herman having to sedate his expectations a little bit. Field is mostly separated out, apart from a battle here for 8th place, which of course has been decided by track limits penalties. Rush the Series has 6 seconds more in penalties to his to the driver behind in the Haas here of Kashka. But these two are the closest battles on track. But Robastian is also catching up to the back of Andy Ardre. So are we going to see, for the first time in what feels like a long time, a non-Andy podium? And if I'm being honest with you, he's in a bit of trouble because Quincy is also firing up at a rate of knots, as we now have 2 laps to go at the line. So I don't think Quincy has quite enough time to find the 2.5 seconds he would require to get into that window for the Andy Ardre penalties, let alone Robastian. So Robastian now fighting with the current world champion for 3rd place, but his advantage on those tyres has dropped off significantly, and Robastian now takes away 3rd from the Romanian world champion for what has been 4 seasons in a row. And Andy, well, he's used to having Kashka's pronounced like Chow. Ah, my bad. Thank you, fellow son, for letting me know. So it's actually Chow there. Do appreciate you letting me know, as I think we are seeing battles. Yeah, that is Mr. Wouter being swallowed up by Rush the Series there, and now Chow is going to try and catch up and take that away, and hopefully just stick within that 6-second window he needs to stay with. And you know what? Oh, Quincy there nearly having a mistake. We just go on board with him. He's driving the Red Bull this week. As now Herman actually in for another set, as intermediate tyres have been called. Is it raining down in Austria? It is raining again with the final 2 laps, and Herman taking no risks, it would seem. He's going to be lapped as well. As we go on to the final lap, it is sketchy stuff here in SSRL. And now, well, can Quincy bring down that 3-second window to Andy at the back? He can! We are going to see Quincy in the top 4, and in championship contention, Andy Ardre will only manage a 5th place finish. Upsets galore happening here as we have a caution in sector 2. Let's see for what reason. As now Chow and Wouter go side by side. What about Rush the Series and Andrew? Well, of course, it doesn't really matter that much. I think Andy made a mistake. That's why we had the yellow flag. Quincy makes his way up into 4th place. And now, well, Danger David wasn't in championship contention last season, but now he stakes his claim. And it is going to be Danger David, the one to beat in terms of round 1. He comes across the line. Scotland forever! It is Danger David who takes the win in Austria. Robastian will be 3rd. Babish is 2nd. Quincy comes home in I think, best 4th place here in SSRL history. And Andy eventually coming across the line in 5th. But at the moment, battles happening up and down. Kashao will be ahead of Mr. Wouter, but he won't be. He will be also ahead of Rush the Series, who's crashed across the start-finish line. And Kachal will take 7th place once the penalties works itself out. 8th place for Mr. Wouter. 9th for Rush the Series. Verstappen will come home 10th place rather comfortably because Tarcangino 10 seconds behind him with a 13-second penalty. Red Dog will come home 12th. Kovachka came home a lap down in 13th. Herman German 14th. Flip in 15th. Race Chase in 16th. Once the penalties worked out for Veriduco and Energetic there. So Race Chase actually did well to kind of get a couple of positions from that. He was in dire straits at the beginning of the race. Remember, he had a disconnect early on. So Veriduco and Energetic not taking any points today. At least that's, if I'm remembering that correctly, that's how that works out. But Danger David comes home in 1st position. And that is quite a statement. He has not been in championship contention since that last race in Season 4. And now he has just taken the opening round. And that will mean a great deal to the Scotsman. The podium celebrations begin. And it's a Racing Bulls on top here at the Red Bull ring. So at least the Red Bulls will see one of their own on the top step. And Quincy there with a great race. Perhaps one of the best races I've seen from him. 4th place for the Red Bull driver as well. So not a bad day all round for Red Bull. 1 and 4 if you're being rather technical about it. Now, driver of the day goes to cleanest driver, which hasn't appeared here on me, but driver of the day goes to Chow. Fastest lap went to Dage David, so he gets an extra point. So now, from 1st to 5th, on your unofficial race results, it is David, Bavish, Robastian, Quincy, and Andy. Then from 6th to 10th is Andrew, Kachow, Mr. Wouter, Rustasiri, and Verstappen. Then from 11th to 15th is Tark and Gino, Red Dog, Kavachka, Herman, and Flip, with 16th to 19th being Race Chase, Veroduco, Energetic, and your only non-finisher, Fellow Son. Well, I do just want to apologise for the streaming issues we've had today. Unfortunately, couldn't be helped. Well, I really do hope we don't have those again going in tomorrow. Of course, we will be joined by Herman the German, who, of course, will be sure to pick his brains about the race, sure, about what happened. But there we go. So, we will now go and take some podium interviews once I actually know where they're going to be. So we'll have Deja David. We'll have, trying to remember off the top of my head, Bavish. I think it was Robastian, if I remember correctly. At least it got fixed in time for the start. Yeah, it did. Even though I thought we had a bit of a glitch there. So, yeah, we're just waiting for the top 3 to make their way in. But I think while we do that, we can just have a look at a couple of things here. I'll have to bring them up on stream directly because, unfortunately, I'm not in my regular scenes for for SSRL. So, I'm just going to bring them up here as they appear. So, this is your lineup for Season 6. Of course, if we didn't look through that already, here you go. I'm just going to do some on-stream shenanigans to make sure that actually works okay. We definitely have people coming in. Just give us a moment. We're just going through some things on our stream. So, of course, in the McLarens, it's for the season going forward, it is Race Chase and Bavish, so I misinformed you there. And then in the Ferraris, it's Flip and Mr. Router. Red Bulls is Crank, Jorg, and Veroduco. Of course, Quincy filling in for Crank this time around. Then in the Mercedes, it's Herman and Rush the Siri. In the Astons, it's Fellow Son and Tark and Gino. In the Alpines, it's Control and Kavachka. And then in the Haas, it's Kachow and F1 Etek, I guess. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. And then in the Racing Bulls, it is Energetic. And of course, we just saw the Scotsman, Deja David, win there. Robastian and Andrew rounding out your Williams. Then for the Kick Sauber, it is Andy and Vincenzo. Then your reserves are Rowley and Verstappen, Rendog and Ryan Brooks. For your calendar, let's just bring that up very quickly if I can find it. In fact, I don't have that ready, so let's not keep our drivers waiting at all. Let's see who is in here. Let's start with the winner of this race. It is Deja David. What a start to the season. You looked untouchable as soon as Robastian was out of the proceedings. Just tell me what it was like fighting with Bavish as well.
Yeah, fighting with Babish, it's always good fun. Guy's got some serious pace, especially in the last couple of seasons, so it's makes it interesting. I think obviously the biggest focus was keeping up with Robastian in the first stint, was at least as close as possible and putting him under pressure. Yeah, it all came together. It was quite a well executed race today.
And of course, we haven't seen you in championship contention since that last race in season 4, which I don't imagine you'll want to reflect too much on. But now you of course took the one win in the preseason race, and now you take round 1. You've got to be feeling good about things going forward.
Yeah, the confidence levels are up. You know, the first couple of weeks of this game, it was questionable. But I've just started to find my groove. Putting in a little bit better in the qualifying pace. That gets me further up the field. And as we know with this new game as well, you need to be as far up the field as possible to really have a chance. So that was the plan today. But yeah, feeling confident. Gonna go for it.
Absolutely. And of course, just kind of talking about the strategy, one thing that has changed from this game to, well, from the last game to this game is the noticeable tyre wear. Even though there is, like I've said previously, no mandatory two-stop rule, we saw the two stops anyway. Can you perhaps comment further about that in your own perspective?
Yeah, the tyre wear is quite incredible here. You know, even when you're being quite careful on the tyres, you're losing quite a lot of time, especially being stuck in dirty air, for example. So a big kind of focus this season is me putting together my own setups and finding something that's going to balance the tyre wear with the performance. So that's actually been my focus the last couple of weeks, and it's paying off. It's paying off.
And well, of course, it has been an absolute pleasure to watch you drive. That was an absolutely great race. David, thank you so much for just taking some questions. We'll hopefully see you to, well, there's going to be, yeah, no, we'll hopefully see you next week. Don't worry about me. And yeah, no, have a very good evening.
Thanks, guys. Have a nice night.
You too. Moving on to our second place driver, it is Mr. Bavish himself. Congratulations on second place. It's been a long time coming. You've had the pace throughout last season, but we just very rarely saw that good result. It was always some consistency issues, but finally, in Season 6 and in F125, it came together for you. How do you feel about second place today, despite that 3-second penalty?
Thank you so much. Well, it's been a great race. David has been pushing me for 36 laps to be fair, and in difficult conditions, and he was quite quick in the wets. So I was quite surprised that I couldn't catch him at some point. But pace wise, I think we were nearly the same. He was quite quick in sector 2, and by the time I get to him, it was too late. So he was defending already. But I'll take P2. I know. Last season it's been quite difficult with consistency and everything. You know, you always want to learn, and when you join as reserve, sometimes, yeah, you want to kind of learn some of the driving and try and push and everything. So that was the main point last season. But obviously this season I've taken a seat, so of course I've got to make the most of it. And yeah, P2, a good start for today. I'll take it. It's been a great race.
Absolutely, and of course, just kind of going and talking about strategy. Of course, I already talked about it with David. That, you know, even though there's no mandatory two-stop rule, we were still kind of forced into a two-stop situation anyway. Was that something you were expecting, or did that just kind of come out of nowhere?
No, it's something I was expecting. It's definitely a two-stop. Mediums are not bad tires, but they do fall off very quickly. And once you start losing the grip, you start losing big amount of time. So you would really want to manage your tires throughout the race. So that's why I was really stuck behind David, because you don't want really to overuse your tires, especially over braking or trying to be very aggressive on corners, you know. So um, out of those times I've been behind him, I think I've tried overtaking him only a couple of times, probably 3 or 4 times out of
Hmm.
36 laps, you know. So that shows you how important are the tires during a race, to be fair. But it was, yes, definitely a two-stopper today. Even the hards was a very good tire, but it does wear down very quickly. Just give you an extra 2 laps, I think, on medium.
All right, and then, well, it's been an absolute excellent start to your season 6 so far. Do you think you could go for the championship, Bavish?
It's a long way. You know, you want to take one race by race. So you know, we'll see what happens next week. We'll always try and come back strong. You know, we're here to give David a hard time. You know, it's not going to be easy when I'm around. So, but yeah, that's the fun. You know, that's really the fun. You've got somebody that can challenge you, and you can challenge as well. At the same time, obviously, you know, I was expecting Andre to be up there as well, and a few other drivers, but I think they didn't like the rain at the start, and I did see them going wide, you know. So I was trying to seize my opportunities. I was like, you know what, that's my opportunity to just go for it, because they were off the racing line, and I think in sector 2 on both the corners, you know. So yeah, I tried to make some move there. So did David, I think. So yeah, that was great. That was great to go for the pack, you know. So
All right. Well, look, I will see you next week. We'll look forward to seeing you again. Thank you for taking my questions, and yeah, enjoy the rest of your evening.
thank you guys. Congrats P1 and P3 as well.
Right. And speaking of P3, we move on to Robastian. Welcome to P3 and congratulations on what could have been more. There was just a little mistake through the first stint there, and it ultimately costed you your entire race, but still P3 and you were able to recover it there. Are you happy with how things gone despite what happened?
First of all, hi everyone. Well, the quali was good, balance was okay since I've loaded the setup for a rainy race, but in the second run I made a big mistake in sector 3, which I lost 3/10 in that sector. But somehow I took pole with that time, but still there was more delta to be found in quali. And about the race, it wasn't one of my good ones. I lost feedback of one of my wheel once and I had to put AI, otherwise I was in the wall in the last turn. And then 3 or 4 laps later, my LAN cable has been disconnected from my PlayStation and I had to restart my game. And of course, I lost there more than 10 seconds in the race pace. So it wasn't a good race for me, but I've managed to recover to P3. But overall, I learned a lot in this race and hopefully I'll bounce back in the next races.
Absolutely, of course. I just want to say, all three of you have just beaten the current world champion, who's run seasons from season 2 to season 5. So you've all three of you have beaten a 4 times in a row champion here. So
just saying, 4 of you.
What? I didn't quite catch what Quincy said there. I think. Oh yes, there was. Oh shit. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, sorry for that. But I was focusing on the podium. But anyway, Quincy's completely thrown me off there. But anyway, sorry about that. So, Robastian, back to you for a second. Hang on. Sorry. Okay. Anyway. So, of course, I've talked about the tyre strategy. There's no mandatory 2-stop this season. So, going into the race tonight, were you expecting a 2-stop strategy?
Yes, 100%. I was training with Andrew before the race and we both expected to have a 2-race pit stop. Because the tire wear was so big that it wasn't possible to do medium hard or hard medium. So the best strategy was to have medium hard medium, but then when I loaded in the lobby I saw that in the race will be 8 to 10 laps with rain, and yeah, of course I had to take inters, but yeah, the race was good. Tire wise, it wasn't that good. I'm not that good to manage the tires, but that's how my driving style is, you know.
Absolutely. Well, hopefully that can come with time. Of course, you've got many rounds to kind of get that under control, and lots of practice in between, I would imagine. Now, of course, going forward, just taking a quick peek at the calendar, we are going to be in Silverstone for next week. Just how are you feeling about that?
To be fair, I haven't raced in Silverstone since the game came out, so it would be a great experience for me. But yeah, I will talk with Andrew, and of course this weekend, and always will try to practice maybe more time than this race, because I haven't played this game since I think 2 weeks ago, and only about 1 hour of practice before the race, it wasn't enough. So yeah, I'll try to do a little bit more practice, and we'll see how it goes.
All right then. Well, look, Robastian, congratulations again on a P3. It's been really fun to commentate this one. Lots of good action up and down the field, but of course, all of you, well done for getting onto the podium in what was really a action-packed race. So we'll see you all next week, and thank you all so much for your time.
Thank you, guys.
And with that, we end off as I cut Quincy off there for interrupting the podium interviews. God damn, what a man. Anyway, let's observe. So let's get the calendar up on the screen. So that you can have a look at what's coming up in Season 6. Of course, these will, I promise you, this will be a lot more professional going forward. Sorry for all the problems today, guys, and I hope it hasn't taken away from the viewing experience of the race too much. But anyway, as you can see here, let's actually kind of do this. So, of course, we just had round 1 in Spielberg. It's round 2 in Silverstone. Lusail is round 3, and Jeddah is round 4, with Spa-Francorchamps going to round 5. And as you can see there, once you get to round 6 in the Hungaroring, we will have a week's break, so we will return. We will miss out on the 11th of August and return on the 18th for what will be Barcelona, then a round 8 mystery Grand Prix, Zandvoort, and then our final season being our absolute iconic Q3 knockout format. But until then, well, it has been an absolute pleasure to bring you the race live. Unfortunately, we couldn't quite bring you the qualifying, but unfortunately, just some issues have happened, and I will need to look into what those are and see what is up. But otherwise, thank you all so much for sticking with the stream issues, and thank you so much for coming by to watch. I say a massive thank you from all the drivers, admins, and stewards for your time this evening. Of course, we'll be back at around 7:30 p.m, maybe 7:20 BST next week, and you can catch more action from SSRL. Can Handy try and claw back the advantages he lost this evening? 5th place for the current world champion, so a lot to do. And Herman, season 1 champion, not even the top 10. A lot of work for him to do, but you can find out how that all progresses next week in Silverstone. But until then, have a very good evening. We'll see you tomorrow for Division 2 as well. Same time, but tune in about 7:20 here. This is the place for SSRL. Until then, bye.